Shocking truth, while we celebrated Thanksgiving inside, my grandson endured 6 hours in the cold. The Thanksgiving morning dawned chillier than anyone had expected. Jenna rushed around her small, cozy kitchen, the smell of roasted turkey warming the air. With every whisk of the mashed potatoes and every careful placement of silverware, she immersed herself in tradition, her heart full as the Thanksgiving table came together. Family had always been the central pillar of her life, and she took pride in each detail she crafted. Meanwhile, Max, her spirited 17-year-old son, pulled on his jacket, eyes filled with a determination she hadn't seen in a while. He had stumbled back from volunteering last week, invigorated by meeting Mr. Thompson, a veteran whose worn-out home stood as a silent witness to the weight of life's burdens. Today, as Jenna set the table with her favorite family china, Max made his unexpected request. "Mom, I want to help Mr. Thompson. He needs it today," he said, conviction lacing his words. Jenna hesitated, a mother's instinct tussling with her son's passion. "Max, it's Thanksgiving. I want you here with us," she urged gently, but he met her gaze with a steadfastness that made her heart swell. Taking a deep breath, she relented. "Okay, but please promise you'll be back in time for dinner." After he left, laughter and warmth surrounded Jenna and the few family members that had gathered. The clinking of glasses and toasts of gratitude filled their modest home with light, but outside, winter whispered chilling warnings. An unexpected blizzard swirled in, winds howling fiercely, painting a picture of isolation and struggle. Max found himself fighting against the storm. The wind stung his cheeks, his hands growing numb as he worked on Mr. Thompson's roof, quickly patching leaks with makeshift materials, his heart full of hope to give one man a warmer, drier Thanksgiving. He envisioned the smiles that awaited him inside. But as snow piled high and the sun dipped lower, time slipped away. The laughter within grew louder while Max found his strength waning. He could barely muster the energy to call for help, the light in his soul dimming under the freezing weight. Hours went by, and the warmth inside turned into an unsettling contrast. Their joyous conversations, the aroma of turkey, and the warmth of family faded into muffled whispers of celebration, while Max battled the elements, spirit thinning like the last rays of daylight. When Max finally stumbled back through the door, blue-lipped and shivering, he felt like a specter of cold disappointment. The jubilation froze. In disbelief, his family rushed to him, the warm air thickening with tension. They hadn't noticed how consumed they were in their own celebration while he labored for nothing but kindness. I helped Mr. Thompson," he stammered, teeth chattering. As he recounted the desperate struggle against the cold and isolation, the reality of their lives pierced through their holiday cheer. A sobering silence enveloped the room as they all absorbed the weight of his sacrifice. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the truth settled in, deeper conversations flickered to life, about community, responsibility, and the unseen lives of their neighbors. Feelings of anger, confusion, and guilt washed over them like the cold Max had just endured. Would they embrace this lesson, or would time let the moment slowly slip away into a fading memory? Silently, they embraced one another, a mixture of warmth and despair coursing through the room, leaving them to wonder just how far apart their world had become from the ones they shared. Max's wet clothes clung to him like shadows as his family, still reeling from the truth of his experience, enveloped him in a group hug. He felt their warmth surround him, yet there was an ache deep within. The Thanksgiving joy that had filled the air now seemed tainted, almost hollow. "I didn't want to ruin our day," he whispered, glancing around at their startled faces, "but Mr. Thompson needed help. I thought I could do something good." Jenna knelt to his level, still holding onto him tightly, her heart clawing at her chest. Max, she started, fighting back tears, you didn't ruin anything. You did something incredibly brave. His gaze fell to the floor, battling the words struggling to escape his lips. But you all were having fun, and I was out there freezing. The words trailed off, choked by a rush of conflicting emotions. As the warmth in the house started to regain its footing, the family gathered around the table. The turkey, once a symbol of celebration, felt like a weight on their spirits. Eyes that were bright with laughter now glimmered with reflection. They sat in silence for a moment, considering how much they had taken for granted that day. Finally, Uncle Rick, his brow furrowed, broke the silence. It doesn't have to be this way. We need to be better. It's not just about us. We're a part of a bigger story. He gestured toward the door, as if to harness the spirit of the blizzard outside and channel its energy into resolve. With each murmured agreement, the conversation transformed. They shared stories of their own moments of struggle, of neighbors they had ignored, of times when they could have reached out but didn't. As Jenna wiped a tear from her cheek, she noted how their connections were thickening, strengthened by shared vulnerability. Let us help Mr. Thompson. Together, Max suggested, suddenly bursting with energy, the spark reigniting in his eyes. We can fix his roof and bring him some food. And let us not wait until next Thanksgiving. Yes. The chorus of agreement filled the air, a tide of collective determination rising around the table. They began to plan, discussing how to bring warmth and help to their community. Each idea sparked another, building momentum until hope flooded the space where despair had just lingered. Max felt his heart swell as he watched his family come alive with purpose. This wasn't just about the meal they had shared but the commitment to be a part of something greater. They resolved to take action, right then and there. Yet, as the evening wore on, a new realization hung in the air like the remnants of steam from their holiday meal. Jenna looked around at her loved ones, her heart aching not just from pride but from a new understanding. We've celebrated Thanksgiving as a day, but it's so much more than just one meal once a year, she said softly. It's a reminder of what we can do together. So, with the outer world in chaos and the inner world united, plans were made not just for the next day but for all the days after. They committed to becoming more involved in their community, starting with Mr. Thompson, pledging to tie their fortunes together with the lives around them. As they cleaned up after dinner, laughter replaced the earlier tension, but deep below the surface, an undercurrent of change was being forged. However, the thought nagged at Jenna as she tucked her son into bed later that night: would their newfound resolve last? Would this transformation survive the everyday clamor of life? The wind howled outside, a reminder of the chaos that lurked just beyond their walls. And as she kissed Max goodnight, a single question lingered in her mind: what other truths lay waiting to be uncovered just beyond their doorstep? The first light of dawn broke through the frost-laden window, casting a soft glow that danced across Max's room. He stirred, the events of the previous day still tangled in his dreams. As he sat up, memories washed over him, both warm and heavy. His family had gathered not just to share a meal but to vow to make a difference. Filled with determination, he could almost still hear the echo of their voices in the kitchen. Fueled by resolve and love, Max threw on a pair of clothes and padded down the hallway, the floor cool against his feet. The delicious aroma of cinnamon and coffee wafted from the kitchen, pulling him in like a magnet. His family was already awake, and laughter intertwined with the sounds of sizzling bacon. It felt like a new day, an opportunity to turn yesterday's resolve into action. Morning, sunshine. Jenna greeted, a smile breaking across her face. She leaned down to give him a big hug that almost lifted him off the ground. We're just about to have breakfast. I hope you're hungry. Starving. He replied, his stomach rumbling in agreement. As he took his seat at the table, he felt a rush of gratitude wash over him. The sight of his family gathered, laughing and enjoying the moment, was a stark contrast to the chilling solitude Mr. Thompson had faced the day before. Today we start our plans, Uncle Rick said, filling his plate with steaming pancakes. We need to brainstorm how we can best help our neighbors. The room buzzed back to life with excitement. Max felt a thrill spark inside him. "Can I go visit Mr. Thompson?" he asked, almost bouncing in his seat. "I want to see how he's doing and maybe help him clear some snow off his driveway." "We can't just wait." Jenna exchanged a glance with Rick, and a silent understanding passed between them. "That's a great idea. We can all go after breakfast. But first, let us make sure we're all bundled up and have what we need," Jenna replied, her voice layered with both approval and a hint of worry. She knew the day would be more than just about helping, it was about connection. As they gathered their coats, shovels, and snacks, a surge of excitement propelled Max forward. The snow outside sparkled like a million diamonds, but the icy chill was quick to nip at him as he stepped out. His heart beat faster, steeling himself against the frigid air, feeling determined. When they arrived at Mr. Thompson's house, the sight of the heavy snow piled on his roof and driveway struck Max like cold water splashing against his face. He shared a look with his family that spoke volumes. They had come together, ready to tackle something that felt overwhelming. Just yesterday, Max knocked on the worn door, the sound echoing in the stillness. A moment later, Mr. Thompson appeared, his expression surprised yet pleased. "You all came after all," he exclaimed, his weathered face breaking into a warm smile. "Of course. We couldn't just sit by and let you manage all this alone," Rick said, gesturing toward the snow. "How about a little help?" As they worked together, Max uncovered something that hadn't been there yesterday. A sense of community began to blossom, filling them with a sense of hope and purpose. Each shoveled scoop of snow seemed to lift away not just ice but the barriers that had kept them distant, but as the snow melted under their hard work and laughter, a deeper concern brewed in Max's heart. What about others in their neighborhood? Were there still people suffering quietly, like Mr. Thompson? There were so many unknowns waiting just outside this moment of light they had created. As the last of the snow was cleared, Max turned to his family. "This is just the start, isn't it? We can do more, can't we?" But before anyone could answer, a loud crash echoed from somewhere behind the house, sending a shiver through them all. "What was that?" someone whispered, fear creeping into the sunlight. Max's heart raced. What awaited them on the other side could change everything they had just pledged. The air was thick with anticipation as Max shifted his weight on his feet. His heart thumped loudly in his chest, a strange mix of nerves and urgency swelling inside him. He glanced around at his family, their expressions mirroring his own confusion and concern. Jenna's brow furrowed slightly, and Uncle Rick's posture was tense, muscles coiling like springs. "Should we check it out?" Jenna spoke softly, her voice barely above a whisper, as if saying it too loud might unleash something chaotic. "I think we should," Max replied, his determination growing bolder than the fear creeping into his thoughts. "Whatever it is, we can't ignore it." "Together," Rick declared, as he stepped forward and opened the creaky back door. The sudden gust of cold air sent chills down Max's spine, but the flicker of excitement to uncover a mystery pushed him onward. As they stepped outside, the landscape seemed unchanged from the morning, a blanket of white shielding the world. The snow crunched under their boots, each sound amplifying the tension that hung thick in the air. They moved cautiously toward the source of the crash, a small shed that stood slightly apart from the house, its door ajar. "Isn't that Mr. Thompson's shed?" Jenna breathed out, peering at the ominous gaping entrance. Max nodded. The realization that whatever happened might have affected Mr. Thompson intensified the urgency. They stepped closer and saw the door slightly swung open. Wasn't just due to the wind? "Look!" Max pointed, his voice cracking with anticipation. Something lay half buried in the snow beside the shed. He rushed forward, his family closely following, their steps a chorus of worry and curiosity. As they approached, Max's heart sank. The vibrant blue of Mr. Thompson's prized shovel lay smashed against the shed's wall, pieces scattered like broken glass. But it wasn't just the shovel that caught his attention. Beneath the snow adjacent to it lay something else. Max reached down, brushing away the powdery whiteness. His breath caught in his throat at the sight. A small, furry creature, an injured dog shivering and whimpering in the cold, lay struggling to move. The very essence of despair clung to it. "It's hurt," Jenna cried, kneeling beside the animal. "We have to help it." Max's instincts kicked in. He gently slid his hands under the trembling pup, feeling its warmth against the biting cold. As he lifted the fragile creature, a wave of sadness poured through him. Was it lost? Alone? Mr. Thompson must have been keeping it, Rick observed, glancing around the yard. Maybe it's a stray he's been looking after. The weight of understanding thrummed within Max. This moment wasn't just about saving a dog, it represented the silent struggles going on in their neighborhood. We can't just leave him like this. We have to take him inside, we'll figure it out. Before anyone could respond, a sudden commotion erupted from the direction of the house. Max peered back to see Mr. Thompson himself appearing at the door, his gait slow and deliberate, eyes narrowing with concern. "Is everything all right?" the older man called, his voice etched with worry. Max glanced at the puppy nestled in his arms and swallowed hard. What would Mr. Thompson think? What had happened while they were busy clearing snow and giggling in the warmth? "Mr. Thompson," he started, a tumult of questions flooding his mind. "We found your dog." The older man listened closely, and in that brief moment, the lines on his face deepened with every unfolding truth. Max felt a responsibility heavier than the snow they just cleared. But as they delivered the news, Max saw the flicker of something more profound in the old man's eyes. Regret? Fear? Max braced himself for whatever was to come. Just then, the pup nuzzled closer, and in its warmth, he felt a spark of joy and hope amidst the cold chill. But could they unravel the threads of yesterday's silence and today's truths together? With bated breath, they waited for Mr. Thompson's reaction, wondering what secrets had remained buried in the snow. Mr. Thompson's brow furrowed deeper as he stepped closer, the tension in the air thickening like the clouds that loomed overhead. "My dog?" he echoed, eyes searching Max's face. "What do you mean you found him?" "It's hurt. I think he was trapped," Max stammered, his voice trembling just like the pup in his arms. He shifted the weight of the dog slightly, feeling its fragile frame quiver against him. The old man's gaze softened, though bewilderment still flickered in his eyes. He crouched down beside Max, reaching a quivering hand toward the pup. "Maverick," he whispered, as if testing the name. The dog's ears perked up slightly at the sound, but his body remained slack against Max. Jenna knelt on the other side, placing a gentle hand on Mr. Thompson's arm. "We found him outside, by the shed," she explained, her voice steady yet laced with urgency. "What happened? How did he get out here?" Max felt the heaviness in the air lift only slightly, replaced by an undercurrent of concern. They needed to know how Maverick had ended up injured and alone. I don't know," Mr. Thompson said, his voice cracking. "I had been working on the shed earlier today. He likes to follow me everywhere. I thought he was inside. I thought he was safe." His words echoed against the snowy stillness. "I didn't mean for this to happen." Max felt an unfamiliar anger creeping in. "Didn't he mean to? How could you just leave him?" The words escaped before he could filter them, a raw moment of emotion bursting forth. Mr. Thompson's shoulders sagged beneath the weight of Max's accusation. "I didn't mean to," he repeated, a hint of shame threading through his tone. "I didn't think he would." His voice trailed off, replaced by a heavy silence. Rick, sensing the raw tension, stepped in, his voice steady but gentle. "We should get Maverick inside. We can clean him up and see if he needs a vet. Let us focus on helping him." Nodding in agreement, Max looked down at the pup in his arms. Maverick's big eyes held a sad wisdom, the kind only pain could teach. The little creature seemed to latch onto his presence, trusting him against the day's chaos. Finally, Mr. Thompson stood up, seeming taller in his resolve. "You're right. Let us get him warm. I have a blanket inside, and I'll make some calls to the vet. The urgency in his tone felt like a lifeline thrown to them. They gently carried Maverick back towards the house, snow crunching beneath their boots, each step forward more determined than the last. Max's heart raced not just with the hope of rescue but also with the weight of their shared stories, thoughts of Mr. Thompson's troubled past rushing through him. As they crossed the threshold, the warmth of the house enveloped them like a hug. Max could feel the tension easing, yet something deep inside him kept churning. Was the issue truly about the dog? Or was it a symptom of something larger, a crack in the facade of their community, their lives? Do you think he'll be okay? Jenna asked, her voice barely breaking through Max's swirling thoughts. I hope so, he replied, but a sliver of doubt tugged at him. It wasn't just Maverick who needed healing, it felt like they all did. As Max moved toward the living room where soft light flooded in, he caught Mr. Thompson's eyes again. This time, he saw vulnerability mixed with a flicker of fear. Max clenched his jaw. Could this serving of goodwill mend fences bruised by neglect? The old man turned from Max's gaze, staring out at the snow-covered yard, where the remnants of yesterday's joy had now turned into a bitter reminder of solitude. Max felt a swell of unexpected compassion for him. They wouldn't truly know if they could build a bridge of understanding without facing the rifts that had snaked through their lives like the winter chill, and as Maverick whimpered softly, clinging to the warmth of his new family, Max wondered what threads of courage would be needed to connect their fractured pieces. Just then, the door swung open, a new wave of cold air rushing in. A neighbor stood there, face pale and frantic. We've been looking for you, she gasped, catching her breath. You won't believe what the police found in Mr. Thompson's yard. Max exchanged glances with Jenna and Rick, the weight of the unknown settling heavily on his chest. What could possibly be waiting behind that door now? Max's heart dropped. The air around them shifted, thickening with an uneasy anticipation. The neighbor, Mrs. Harris, stood there, breathless, eyes darting nervously between them. What do you mean? What did they find? Jenna asked, her voice a mixture of curiosity and fear. She moved closer, the warmth of the house abruptly contrasting with the anxious chill outside. Mrs. Harris hesitated, glancing back down the snowy path from which she had come. The police found something buried. Just a few yards from where Maverick was. A child's toy. A blue cap, one with a cartoon character on it. Her voice trembled, and she swallowed hard, waiting for the impact of her words to settle in. Don't say it. Rick's voice was low, a furrow deepening between his brows. He turned to Mr. Thompson, who stood rigid in the doorway, like a statue trapped in time. Max felt his breath hitch. The weight of the unspoken truths pressed heavily upon them all. The neighborhood had never been the same since the disappearance of young Timmy Sanders a few months ago. A sorrowful game of whispers echoed in gathering places, every parent's nightmare rearing its head. Mr. Thompson's complexion paled further, he seemed to age a decade in that moment. Timmy? He asked, the name barely escaping his lips. Yes, Mrs. Harris replied, her eyes filled with sorrow and fear. The police found it near your shed. They want to talk to you. They think. Her voice faltered as she stepped back, the reality of the situation dawning on her. Max's mind raced. It all felt like a fog closing in, each thought colliding. Was this the connection they had felt, the layers of hurt and fear lying just beneath the surface refusing to remain hidden any longer? And poor Maverick, caught unwittingly in the middle of it all. Wait. Jenna's voice broke through the heavy silence, urgency present in her every word. You all need to be careful. If the police are involved, we can't just jump to conclusions. She looked at Max, desperation in her eyes. This isn't just about Maverick anymore. We have to protect Mr. Thompson. Max nodded slowly, feeling the late afternoon shadows stretch across the room, the sense of foreboding undeniable. I don't want to believe it, Max whispered, clenching his fists at his sides. But we have to find out what really happened. Mr. Thompson finally turned back towards them, a mixture of confusion and determination crossing his weathered face. "I didn't know," he said quietly. "I just wanted to finish the shed." "I didn't think let us not talk about this here," Rick interrupted, his voice rising slightly, urgency hanging in the air. "We'll have to meet the police. It's the only way to clear all this up." "Meet them?" Max said, heart pounding. Was it really the time to confront what lay within? But before he could fully process it, the door flew open again. Another neighbor rushed in, breathless, eyes gleaming with the wildness of a storm. "Did you hear? They found footprints leading away from this house. They need everyone to stay inside." The words hung thick in the air. Max's gut twisted. All at once, the significance of what they were grappling with ignited within him. As fear clawed at his throat, he realized the only thing standing between understanding and chaos was the fragile thread of trust still lingering amid the uncertainty. They needed answers. But what if the truth was more horrifying than they could imagine? And deep inside, a nagging question pulsed at the forefront of Max's thoughts: what if, somehow, they weren't just searching for the truth of that toy, but for the truth of themselves and each other in a fractured world? As wind howled like a distant wail, their resolve crystallized. They had to uncover what lurking shadows lay in both the dark of the night outside and the recesses of their hearts. What awaited them beyond the threshold into the storm of questions yet unanswered? Max felt a shiver run down his spine as he looked at the faces surrounding him. Fear had drained the color from their cheeks, while confusion twisted their features. A moment felt like hours, ticking away with agonizing slowness. Would they really join forces or run for cover as each family chose self-preservation over community? "I can't believe this is happening," Jenna breathed, her hands tightly clasped together, searching for stability in a world suddenly dreadfully uncertain. Mrs. Harris inched closer, her breath hitching. "You have to believe me, we have to come together. This isn't just a rumor anymore." Rick stepped forward, channeling the energy of a bulldog ready to defend its territory. "What are we doing? We're not going to hide in fear. If Timmy's out there, we owe it to him to find out what's happened." Mr. Thompson swallowed hard. The warmth of the room contrasted sharply with the reality outside, a bone-chilling reminder that they were not alone in their fears. "I never would have thought something like this could happen here," he murmured, shaking his head slowly as he processed everything. Max's heart raced. "Then let us figure this out. If we stay here, we'll drive ourselves mad." As if responding to the seriousness of their intentions, a gust of wind rattled the windows, an eerie reminder of the darkness looming outside. They exchanged glances, a flicker of determination igniting among them. "Let us go," Max encouraged, his voice steady despite the tremor of fear in his chest. "Are you sure we should?" Mrs. Harris asked, the concern evident in her voice. "What if the police?" "The police need us to help," Rick interjected, a fire igniting in his normally calm demeanor. "If they found something, we owe it to Timmy to cooperate." With a heavy sigh, Mr. Thompson nodded. "Okay. If I don't go, they'll only have more questions. Let us stick together." The five of them moved as one, fear intertwined with courage. They bundled up against the cold, slipping outside into the dark, crisp air that whipped around them. Shadows danced beneath the streetlights and the quiet sounds of their footsteps filled the night, drawing them closer to the shed's ominous outline. Once they reached the backyard, anxiety surged. "Do you think we're going to find something?" Max whispered, glancing at the shed. The wooden structure loomed larger than ever, every creak of the floorboards a reminder that secrets reside within. "Only one way to know," Rick replied, voice lowered but unwavering. The group huddled together, mustering courage before stepping closer to the shed. The ground beneath their feet felt less stable, as if the earth itself was shifting to reveal a grotesque secret. As they approached, an unshakable tension filled the air. The last clinging snowflakes swirled around them, echoing the swirling thoughts inside their minds. A sudden realization gripped Max. This search wasn't just for Timmy but a deeper quest to uncover the darkness lurking within their own community. Each shadow cast before them felt like an embodiment of hidden fears and buried sins that could not be evaded any longer. Realizing this was no longer just about investigating the shed, Max felt a weight settle on his shoulders. Was it possible they'd find something darker than mere toys? Something that could shatter their lives irrevocably? As the door creaked open, a gust of icy wind blew in, and they stood at the threshold, the very heart of their fears lying within. But as Max took a breath, heart pounding, he realized something was waiting for them inside, something not just physical, but a revelation that would change everything. Are we ready for what we're about to discover? Max whispered, eyes wide as the door swung slowly open, revealing darkness that threatened to swallow them whole. Max peered into the shed, the darkness swallowing the faint outline of old tools and forgotten memories. Despite the anxiety that surged through him, he took a step forward, the wooden floor creaking beneath him like a warning. The air was stale, tinged with the scent of damp wood and rust. Should we turn on our phones for light? Jenna suggested, her voice barely a whisper. Rick nodded and, one by one, they activated their flashlights, beams slicing through the oppressive darkness. The dim light illuminated dust motes, swirling like lost souls. They fanned out cautiously, the tension palpable, every sound amplified in the stillness. A distant dog howled, and Max felt his heart race again. "Timmy!" he called, his voice breaking slightly as it echoed back at him like an unanswered prayer. "Stay together," Mrs. Harris urged, moving closer to Max. "Remember what we talked about. If anything seems off, we leave immediately, all right?" The moment felt surreal, like stepping into a horror movie where the characters were unaware of the threat lurking behind the scenes. They examined the shelves packed with rusty tools and broken toys, remnants of childhood innocence overshadowed by the weight of their mission. Max ran his fingers along the edges, brushing away years of neglect. Suddenly, Rick gasped. "Over here." He directed the light to the far corner where an outline against the wall caught his attention. As they approached, a large, tattered canvas lay sprawled on the ground. "What is that?" Jenna squinted at the object, her eyes narrowing. Max's breath caught in his throat as they got nearer. The canvas was an old tarp, but it looked out of place. With trembling hands, Rick tugged at the edge, pulling it back to reveal something that made their blood run cold. Beneath the tarp lay a collection of children's items: shoes, a backpack frayed at the edges, and, horrifically, a stuffed animal that belonged to Timmy. It grinned up at them with one eye missing, tainted by dirt but still eerily comforting. "No, no, no," Max murmured, his heart pounding as dread settled openly in his throat. "What happened to him?" Mrs. Harris choked out, her lips trembling as panic surged in her eyes. I don't know," Max stammered, a rush of confusion hitting him like a wave. They pondered the devastating implications. It dawned on him that this was no mere find, it robbed them of childhood and replaced it with fear. Rick shook his head, wrapping his arms around himself. "We need to report this," he said firmly, though his voice wavered. "We need to call the police right now." Max felt his pulse quicken. This discovery was more than just a chilling turn, it felt like a dark shroud closing in around them. "No," he asserted, "we can't just leave without knowing everything. What if he is still alive?" Jenna's eyes widened, horror etched on her face. "What are you saying, Max? We can't leave him out there." "Then let us look for more clues," Max insisted, desperation piercing through the fear. "If they're worried about keeping secrets, we can't let fear hold us back. We have to find Timmy." Jenna glanced from Max to Rick, and gradually, determination replaced their momentary shock. "Okay," Rick agreed, resolving something unsaid among them. "Let us search the entire shed." As they continued their search, a tension settled heavily in the air. They rummaged through the chaos, each scrape of wood against wood sending chills through their spines. A sound suddenly erupted from the other side of the shed, a thump. They froze, breaths hitching as all eyes darted to the corner. "Did you hear that?" Max whispered, heart racing. But the darkness remained still, as if holding its own breath, waiting for them. When Max's flashlight beam landed on a shadow that flickered just beyond their reach, a thought crossed his mind: was someone or something waiting just outside, watching them unravel their worst fears? "Are we truly ready?" he asked silently within, for what else might lie hidden in the darkness? The thump resonated again, closer this time, and every instinct screamed to run. Max's breath caught, the air suddenly feeling thick and stifling. "We should go," he whispered, his voice shaking. Yet, even as he said the words, a flicker of determination ignited within him. They couldn't leave without knowing. Rick took a step forward, the beam of his flashlight flickering over the shadows. "What if it's just an animal?" he suggested, a hint of desperation creeping into his tone. But even he didn't sound convinced. No. That sound was too deliberate. Max felt a cold sweat bead on his forehead. The uncertainty rippled through him. "We need to check it out." Jenna nodded slowly. "I'm scared, but if there's a chance Timmy is out there." Her voice trailed off, and the unspoken terror hovered between them. Mrs. Harris gripped Max's arm tightly. "Whatever we do, we stick together. No splitting up." With a silent agreement, they stepped toward the back corner of the shed, moving as a unit. The beam of their flashlights trembled as they turned, illuminating the walls packed with junk, shadows dancing in response. Each creak of the floor sent jolts of anxiety shooting through them. They reached the corner where the sound had originated, the tension stretching taut until it felt like it might snap. Max bent down, brushing his fingers against the cold, damp floorboards. "Is something hiding under here?" he wondered aloud. Before anyone could answer, the thump came again, solid and urgent. A rush of noise followed, scraping, then silence. "Did you hear that?" Rick blurted, eyes wide. Max nodded, forcing himself to breathe. "Let us lift the board." He motioned to a loose plank. The others moved closer, their hearts pounding in synchrony. With a collective effort, they pried the board loose, wincing at the loud screech it made. As the wood splintered away, faint light glimmered over something darker below. Jenna leaned closer, gasping, "There's a small door, half buried under debris." What is that?" she stammered, her voice a mixture of curiosity and fear. "Do you think Timmy could be in there?" Mrs. Harris asked, her bottom lip trembling. Max felt a surge of dread as he knelt beside it. "Only one way to find out," he said, wrestling with the latch that was stubbornly refusing to budge. A booming noise echoed outside, shaking the shed. They jumped back, fear gripping their hearts. "What was that?" Max said, frozen in place. The horror of the night was creeping ever closer. "Maybe it's just the wind," Rick suggested, but his shaky voice betrayed his fear. Deep down, they all knew that wasn't true. Ignoring the noise, Max finally forced the door open, a loud creaking echoing through the stillness. Inside, a dim light revealed what looked like a narrow tunnel, dark and winding. He hesitated, glancing back at his friends, their expressions merging fear and hope together. "Should we take a look? What if it's a trap?" Jenna whispered, anxiety spilling over. "Or what if it's the only way to find him?" Mrs. Harris added, her voice steadier than before. Max felt the weight of decision hang over him like a storm cloud. The unknown loomed, but the thought of Timmy fueled his resolve. He stepped toward the opening, glancing back one last time. "Here goes nothing," he murmured, plunging into the darkness, his heart racing. The others followed closely, each step echoing in the confined space. As they crawled deeper, a chilling realization settled in. The tunnel seemed endless, like a labyrinth of uncertainty. The air grew colder, and every rustle echoed louder, heightening their anxiety, but ahead, a faint glow beckoned. Was it hope or another illusion? And suddenly, from behind them, a whisper crept into the tunnel, a name, cracked and distant, yet disturbingly familiar: Timmy. The fear clawed back up Max's spine, leaving him breathless. What had they unleashed? What awaited them at the end of this dark path? Keep moving, he urged, every instinct telling him they were closer to a chilling truth than they had ever been before. As they crawled further, the tunnel twisted like a serpent, cold and damp. Each movement felt like a battle against the darkness that threatened to consume not just them but their hopes. The whispers hung in the air, a reminder of everything they sought and everything they feared might await them. Max's heart pounded in his chest. Is anyone else hearing that? He murmured. His voice trembled, uncertainty creeping in. Jenna nodded, it's like he's calling out. Timmy. They all called, voices echoing through the winding passage. The hope flickered like a candle flame struggling against the cold wind. Stay together, Jenna said, gripping Max's hand, her eyes wide with determination. They pressed on, fueled by a mix of fear and resolve. A distant light glimmered ahead. It pulsed, drawing them closer with an insistent glow, like a lighthouse guiding lost ships home. Max squeezed through the narrowing space, his heart racing. What lay beyond that light? Was it safety or something more sinister? Suddenly, a sound exploded behind them, a crash, then heavy footsteps stomping through the snow above. We're not alone, Rick whispered, fear palpable in his tone. Panic surged, and Max felt every instinct scream to retreat, but he couldn't let fear win. Not now. They scrambled toward the light, crawling faster, urgency pushing them forward. Tears blurred Max's vision as adrenaline surged within him. Was Timmy really trapped beyond that glow? Finally, they reached a clearing. The tunnel opened into a small chamber. The light was brighter now, illuminating walls lined with pictures, photos of children at play, smiling faces that echoed the innocence lost. But in the center, bound by ropes, sat Timmy. Timmy! Max shouted, breaking the stillness. The boy looked up, eyes wide with fear, but relief washed over his pale face. You found me. His voice cracked, breaking the tension thick like fog. In an instant, Max was at Timmy's side, the other's drawing closer. What happened? He asked, hands trembling as he fumbled with the ropes. Timmy looked fearful, glancing around the chamber. I don't know, I was playing outside and someone grabbed me. They brought me here. Max's heart raced, fury welling up inside him. You're safe now, he assured him, a fire igniting in his chest. We're going to get you out. He freed one of Timmy's arms, the ropes falling away like shackles. Wait. Jenna urged, scanning the chamber. What if whoever did this comes back? Timmy's eyes widened. I don't want to go back. I want to stay with you, he pleaded, clinging to Max's arm like a lifeline. As if on cue, the sounds above grew louder. Heavy footsteps boomed, echoing down the tunnel. Max's blood ran cold. We need to move. Now! He shouted, urgency pouring into every syllable. They hustled through the tunnel, excitement mixed with terror, hope surged as they guided Timmy forward. But the footsteps were relentless, growing closer as shadows loomed nearer. Quick! Rick said, gesturing to a wall of debris. We can hide there. They dove behind an old pile of crates as the darkness seemed to swallow them. The footsteps ceased just outside, heavy breaths breaking the dark. Where are they? Someone grumbled, frustration filling the narrow space. How did they get in here? Max glanced at Timmy, whose wide eyes mirrored his own fear. They huddled closely, fear and exhilaration crackling between them like a live wire. Through the silence, Timmy whispered, I thought I'd never see anyone again. Not just anyone, Max replied, trying to summon strength. Your friends are here. We will get you home. The footsteps resumed, this time shifting directions. A sense of urgency washed over them, they couldn't stay hidden forever. Let us go, Jenna whispered, while we have the chance. They crept out from their hiding spot, ready to dash back down the tunnel. But just then, the shadow loomed nearer, a figure appeared in the dim light. Looking for something? The figure sneered, a malevolent grin crossing their face. Panic surged. Without thinking, Max pushed Timmy behind him. "Run!" he shouted, fear igniting a fierce determination. Jenna took Timmy's hand, leading him back toward the tunnel while Rick slammed into the figure, sending them stumbling back. "Get out of here!" he barked, his voice full of unyielding courage. They sprinted through the twisting passages, hearts racing, the dark shadows following like dark clouds trailing behind the sun. Max's mind raced, the urgency of the moment surging through his veins. They could make it, bursting into the light of day. Snow fell softly around them, a blanket of serenity that contrasted sharply with the chaos they had just escaped. They didn't stop, powering forward until they reached the safety of the street, breathless from the adrenaline and the fear still lingering. Catching their breath, Max looked back, catching a glimpse of the figure retreating into the shed. "It's over," Max gasped, his heart racing with a mixture of relief and disbelief. They had done it. Together, Timmy hugged Max tight. "You saved me." "Thank you." His voice trembled with gratitude. Max felt a rush of warmth spread through him, a joy unlike any other. But behind that joy rested a deeper understanding. This wasn't just about today. It was about family, about community. About a promise to never let fear dictate their actions again. Jenna and Rick exchanged glances, knowing that in this moment, everything had changed. No longer would they remain silent or complacent while their community suffered. Together, they would rise, reclaiming the trust and hope they felt slipping away. As they walked back toward home, the warmth of the sun kissed their faces, and Max understood that this moment was just the beginning. They would reach out, help each other, and stand united against the shadows that crept just beyond their doorstep. This was their chance to build a stronger community, to forge bonds that transcended fear. And together, they would shine brighter than ever before. That moment, they knew, the truth would always lead them home. And now, if you enjoyed this transformational tale, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to support the channel and ensure you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep this community thriving. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this thrilling ending. What does it mean to you? And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful transformation. This is the moment to show your support.